Emily returned to the side station, her movements fluid and measured, stacking plates with a calm efficiency that contrasted sharply with the flurry of activity around her. Nathan remained seated, his eyes following her subtly, analyzing every tilt of her head, every careful adjustment of a utensil. The restaurant was beginning to fill, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows, reflecting off polished glasses and silverware. Emily's attention never wavered. She noted which tables required water refills, who needed extra napkins, and which orders were ready to send to the kitchen. She moved like a conductor, orchestrating the flow without drawing attention to herself. Yet her presence commanded an invisible authority. Nathan shifted in his chair, the leather of the seat creaking softly. And for the first time in weeks, he felt a strange curiosity prickling beneath his usual composure. He leaned back, resting his hand on the edge of the table, and observed as Emily approached a table where a couple of young professionals debated over menu options. With a soft, reassuring tone, she suggested a pairing that highlighted the chef's specialty, and the diners nodded appreciatively, their tension easing. Nathan's gaze lingered, catching the subtle confidence in her posture, the way she balanced professionalism with warmth. He realized that her intelligence was not loud or demanding, but it was evident in the small decisions, the calculated gestures that made service seamless. As she moved to another table, she paused just long enough to offer a smile that was polite but not flattering, leaving a lasting impression without intending to. Nathan felt a flicker of recognition. He had underestimated her at first glance, dismissed her as part of the scenery, and yet every action she took reinforced her capability, her unspoken command over the environment. He observed the way she coordinated with the kitchen staff, the precision of her timing, and the subtle correction she offered to junior servers, all without a word that could be construed as condescending. Each interaction revealed layers of skill and empathy, the combination striking a balance that few could maintain under pressure. Nathan's lips tightened slightly as he leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table, the lines of his face softening in thought. There was a rhythm to her work, a silent narrative of competence that unfolded table by table, movement by movement. The murmurs of the restaurant faded into the background for him. All he could perceive was Emily navigating the complex choreography of a busy afternoon with unshakable poise. He noticed the subtle ways she anticipated questions, the quick mental calculations she made to accommodate special requests, and the way she maintained composure under the watchful eyes of patrons with high expectations. The more he watched, the more he realized that her strength was quiet but undeniable, a force that demanded acknowledgement not through assertion, but through action. Nathan exhaled slowly, a mix of astonishment and admiration settling over him as he understood, in those measured seconds, the depth of her talent, the clarity of her mind, and the weight of her quiet authority in a world that often overlooked the unassuming. Emily moved past him once more, carrying a tray of desserts with graceful precision, and he found himself leaning back, silently conceding that her competence had reshaped his perception, leaving him with a rare, unspoken respect that lingered in the air between them. The afternoon sunlight shifted slightly, casting long, warm streaks across the bistro floor, reflecting off the polished surfaces, and Emily navigated the room with the same deliberate, fluid motion as before. Nathan Wallace remained seated, observing her with a quiet fascination that he could not disguise. She approached a table in the corner where a family of four debated which dessert to choose. Without hesitation, she suggested a combination that highlighted the seasonal specials in the chef's signature presentation, and the family nodded in approval, smiling as if reassured by her quiet confidence. Nathan noticed the subtle inflections in her voice, the way she adjusted her posture to meet their eyes just enough to convey attentiveness without intrusion. Every movement, every glance carried intention and understanding, and he felt a rare moment of humility stir within him. Emily moved on to a high top where two businessmen argued over the timing of their order. She interjected with a gentle yet precise recommendation, organizing the dishes so that both parties received their meals without delay, and did so with an efficiency that Nathan found both impressive and unexpected. The staff around her, though competent, seemed almost static compared to her effortless command of the floor, and Nathan found himself leaning forward, tracking her every step. He noted the small gestures, a tilted wine glass, a corrected napkin, a quick hand motion to a junior server, all of which passed unnoticed by the patrons but indicated her awareness of every detail. Nathan's mind raced, reconciling the image of a simple waitress with the orchestrator of this seamless service. He recognized that the calm authority she exuded was not loud or forceful but precise, intentional, and quietly commanding. As she returned to the main station, Emily paused for a brief moment to straighten a chair that had been slightly crooked, then continued organizing orders with a meticulous rhythm. Nathan's eyes followed her, captivated by the seamless integration of her movements, each decision deliberate yet unobtrusive, demonstrating an understanding of timing and human behavior that most executives would envy. There was a quiet mastery in how she navigated the dining room, and Nathan realized that he had underestimated her, judged her by her uniform rather than her intellect, her foresight, and her innate ability to manage complex situations with grace. A faint smile touched his lips, almost imperceptible, as he recognized that respect was being earned in real time, silently and elegantly. Emily's presence had shifted the energy of the room, the patrons unaware that they were witnesses to a subtle display of strategy and intelligence. Nathan exhaled, feeling the weight of his own assumptions, and knew that in the next moments, her actions would continue to challenge his perception of competence, authority, and quiet power, leaving him and the entire restaurant reconsidering the measure of true skill and confidence without a single word of assertion. The lunch rush began to wane, leaving a quieter hum in the restaurant, and Emily moved with deliberate focus, checking tables and ensuring every detail was precise. Nathan Wallace remained seated, his attention fixed on her movements, studying the rhythm of her work as if observing an intricate machine in motion. She approached a table where a small group of investors debated menu selections, offering suggestions that balanced preference and timing with subtle confidence. Her tone was calm, reassuring, never overbearing, yet it carried an authority that made her guidance unquestioned. Nathan noticed the way she anticipated questions before they were asked. Adjusting the tray, she carried with small, calculated shifts and aligning plates and glasses so that nothing seemed out of place. Her hands moved with the certainty of someone who had rehearsed the motions countless times. Yet there was an effortless grace that suggested spontaneity, a blend of skill and intuition. A server nearby hesitated, uncertain about a special request, and Emily interjected softly, guiding them without interrupting the flow, the kind of intervention that was invisible to the casual observer but critical to the seamless operation of the room. Nathan's eyes narrowed slightly, registering the precision and thought behind each action, the quiet intelligence that orchestrated the dining experience. He noted the subtle cues she used with the staff, the brief nods, the slight tilts of her head, the micro-adjustments that communicated complex instructions without a single word. The other patrons continued their meals, unaware of the careful choreography taking place around them. Yet Nathan felt the tension of mastery in the air, the silent competence that filled the space with authority and calm. Emily paused momentarily to straighten the silverware set, her movements meticulous, then adjusted the angle of a chair that had shifted slightly, as if correcting an imperfection before anyone could perceive. Nathan exhaled slowly, a mixture of respect and surprise washing over him, recognizing that he had underestimated the depth of her capabilities. Her presence was commanding, not through volume or force, but through precision, attention, and an understated confidence that reshaped his perception with every passing second. Emily moved toward the final table in her section, her stride measured, the tray balanced perfectly, the subtle interaction with each diner seamless and intentional. Nathan leaned back, eyes following her, the quiet realization settling that competence and influence were not always loud or visible, but could emerge with clarity in the most unassuming forms. In the brief, silent exchange of glances and gestures, he felt a shift, a recalibration of understanding, an acknowledgement that intelligence and poise often existed quietly, revealed through action, patience, and the deliberate mastery of small, significant moments. The late afternoon light softened through the tall windows, casting golden streaks across the polished oak floors of the bistro, and Emily moved with quiet determination, carrying a tray of freshly plated desserts with a balance that suggested instinct and practice in equal measure. Nathan Wallace watched from his chair, noting the calm efficiency in the tilt of her shoulders, the subtle positioning of her hands, the way her gaze moved from table to table without ever seeming rushed. Each step she took was deliberate, measured, and precise, a choreography invisible to all but him. She approached a table where two executives debated over the selection of wine, her voice gentle yet authoritative, suggesting a pairing that elevated the meal without appearing prescriptive. Nathan leaned slightly forward, his fingers drumming lightly against the table as he absorbed the way she communicated through small gestures, eye contact, and the cadence of her words. Emily returned to a table at the center of the room, noticing a minor imbalance in the arrangement of silverware, and without breaking her stride, she corrected it, the motion subtle, elegant, and almost imperceptible to anyone else. Yet Nathan felt the weight of her attention to detail. As she moved toward the next table, she coordinated with the kitchen staff through brief glances and minimal words, guiding the service seamlessly, anticipating questions before they were asked, and redirecting minor hesitations without disrupting the flow of the dining room. Nathan's posture relaxed slightly, but his mind raced, recognizing the quiet authority in her approach, a command that did not demand attention but earned it naturally. He observed the micro-expressions on her face, the small, controlled smiles, the soft nods to staff, and realized that each movement carried intention and insight, a mastery of both the environment and the people within it. Patrons continued their meals, unaware of the complex orchestration taking place. Yet the energy in the room had subtly shifted, a sense of order and calm radiating from her presence. Nathan noted the way she adjusted to unpredictable situations, a last-minute request, a misplaced utensil, a changing table assignment, without hesitation or visible stress. Each solution was executed with quiet intelligence and grace, a testament to her competence and ability to manage the unexpected without drawing attention to herself. Emily finally returned to her station, placing the tray down with a soft clink that echoed faintly across the quieting dining room. Nathan exhaled slowly, a mixture of admiration and surprise settling over him, acknowledging internally that he had underestimated her, and that her quiet confidence and attention to detail had reshaped his understanding of influence, skill, and respect. In those minutes, as sunlight dimmed slightly and shadows stretched along the floor, he found himself silently conceding that true mastery did not require volume or assertiveness, but clarity, precision, and the unwavering composure that Emily displayed with every movement. The evening shadows began to lengthen, and the warm glow of the pendant lights reflected softly on the wooden floors as Emily adjusted her apron and prepared for the final wave of diners. Nathan Wallace continued to watch from his corner table, his hands folded, a faint tension easing from his posture as he tracked her movements with a mixture of admiration and incredulity. Emily approached a table where a group of young professionals was debating the wine pairing for their orders. She crouched slightly, meeting their eyes with calm assurance, and suggested options that complemented both the flavors and the timing of each dish. The clients nodded, surprised by the confidence and subtlety in her advice, and returned to their discussion with renewed focus. Nathan noted the faint, confident tilt of her chin, the way she timed each motion with impeccable accuracy, and the way she anticipated questions before they were even asked. She moved seamlessly from table to table, balancing plates and glasses with precision, correcting minor misalignments of silverware, and adjusting chairs just so, all without drawing attention to herself, yet commanding the entire dining room with her presence. Nathan's gaze lingered on the fluidity of her movements, the clarity of her decisions, and the quiet authority she radiated. Each small gesture revealed layers of intellect and awareness that had previously gone unnoticed, and he found himself mentally recalibrating every assumption he had made about her. Emily paused briefly to confer with a server, offering guidance with a subtle nod and a soft, instructive tone that conveyed knowledge and respect simultaneously. Nathan exhaled slowly, registering the impact of her quiet mastery, the kind that did not demand acknowledgement but earned it with every deliberate act. The other patrons remained largely oblivious to the intricacies of her orchestration, yet the energy of the room shifted subtly, a sense of order and refinement permeating the air. Emily returned to her station, straightening a napkin that had slipped and adjusting the placement of a water glass with exacting care. Nathan observed the small flicker of concentration in her eyes, the micro-expressions that betrayed thoughtful evaluation and strategic planning in real time. The more he watched, the more he realized that her quiet competence and unassuming confidence had reshaped his perception of capability, intelligence, and influence. Every subtle action, from the way she managed staff interactions to the seamless handling of customer requests, reinforced the truth that mastery often spoke through calm presence and thoughtful precision rather than loud declaration. Nathan's hands loosened from their rigid clasp, his body relaxing as he acknowledged internally that the impact of her work extended far beyond the immediate service. It was an embodiment of careful observation, intelligence, and the power of composed action. Emily moved once more through the room, her steps silent but purposeful, and he recognized that in every measured movement, every thoughtful adjustment, she had quietly asserted a level of skill, poise, and influence that left a lasting impression on him and on the space itself. The evening grew quieter, the last waves of patrons finishing their meals, and Emily moved through the dining room with a steady, unhurried rhythm, collecting plates, adjusting glasses, and offering small, courteous smiles where appropriate. Nathan Wallace remained at his table, the hum of conversation fading around him as he observed her with a measured intensity, noting every gesture and movement that spoke of competence and composure beyond her apparent station. Emily paused at a table with a single diner reviewing documents, offering a suggestion about seating arrangements and timing that would allow for uninterrupted focus, and then moved on, seamlessly integrating minor corrections into her service without breaking stride or attracting attention to herself. Nathan's eyes followed her, registering the subtle ways she communicated with both staff and guests. Through brief glances, micro-expressions, and minimal, deliberate words, each conveying direction and assurance without overt assertion. She approached the side station to check on orders with the kitchen, her posture precise, her motions calculated to maximize efficiency while maintaining grace. Nathan noted the slight shift in her shoulders as she redirected a server, the soft click of plates and utensils aligning perfectly, and the gentle but firm tone she used to guide without demanding, and he felt a rising respect tempered with surprise. Patrons were unaware of the orchestration around them, yet the atmosphere had transformed, the dining room operating with an invisible coordination that Emily conducted effortlessly. She returned to her section, noticing a minor misalignment of a chair at the last table, and with a subtle, deliberate motion, corrected it, the gesture reflecting both attention to detail and a commitment to excellence that permeated every action. Nathan exhaled, realizing that the woman he had initially underestimated was not only managing the flow of service, but was also shaping the perception and experience of every person in the room, silently teaching lessons about awareness, capability, quiet authority. As she moved toward the final table, a soft chime from the door marked a late arrival. Yet Emily adjusted the seating, timing, and flow with an instinctive understanding of human behavior, ensuring a seamless integration without drawing attention or losing composure. Nathan's hands, previously resting tensely on the table, relaxed as he absorbed the subtle mastery unfolding before him, a recognition of skill and influence operating without declaration or showmanship. Emily completed her rounds, returning to the main station to tidy, organize, and review, every movement carrying intentionality and precision. And Nathan realized that the true impact of her work was cumulative, built through countless small, deliberate actions that commanded respect and subtly reshaped the room's dynamic. The soft glow of the lights reflected off her dark hair, the polished surfaces, and the careful arrangement of silverware and glassware, and Nathan felt the weight of understanding settle over him, acknowledging that quiet competence could speak louder than wealth, authority, or verbal assertion, and that in Emily's composed presence, the restaurant, the staff, and he himself had learned a new definition of mastery and influence that required no applause, only recognition through observation and reflection. The restaurant had settled into the evening calm, the low murmur of conversations and clinking of utensils creating a soft backdrop as Emily moved gracefully from table to table, her posture upright, her gestures deliberate and confident. Nathan Wallace watched her, leaning slightly forward, his fingers drumming lightly against the tabletop, and he could not take his eyes off the seamless way she orchestrated the flow of service without drawing attention to herself. She approached a table where a couple of patrons had questions about wine pairings, and with a calm, precise explanation, she guided them through the options, ensuring their choices complemented the dishes they had ordered. Her voice was steady, clear, and measured, carrying authority without arrogance, and Nathan noted how every subtle movement reinforced her presence in the room. Emily moved toward the kitchen pass, coordinating with the staff through brief nods and soft instructions, each action timed perfectly to maintain a smooth rhythm of service. Nathan's gaze tracked the way she anticipated the needs of the diners, corrected minor discrepancies in place settings, and adjusted utensils and glassware with a finesse that suggested both experience and innate attention to detail. Patrons were unaware of the orchestration behind the scenes, yet the atmosphere shifted subtly, a sense of order and calm emanating from her presence, affecting the tone of the entire dining experience. Emily returned to her station, rearranging a tray of desserts with exacting care, and Nathan recognized the deliberate thought behind each small motion, the quiet confidence that transformed ordinary tasks into displays of understated mastery. He observed the way she communicated through micro-expressions and gestures, guiding both staff and diners effortlessly, her subtle cues ensuring that every interaction flowed smoothly without disruption. Nathan's posture relaxed further, a mixture of admiration and astonishment crossing his features as he absorbed the breadth of her skills. Emily moved on to a final table, attending to a minor imbalance in the placement of cutlery, then stepping back with a soft, controlled motion, surveying the room with an eye for detail and efficiency. Nathan exhaled, realizing that he had underestimated her from the beginning, that the intelligence, composure, and quiet authority she displayed had reshaped the way he perceived competence, influence, and respect. As she finished her rounds, returning to the center of the room, Nathan felt the cumulative effect of her actions, the subtle demonstration of mastery through precision, patience, and awareness, leaving him silently acknowledging that true skill did not require over-assertion, only careful observation, measured decisions, and the confidence to act decisively while remaining unassuming. The final glow of the pendant lights reflected off her dark hair and the polished surfaces, and Nathan recognized, fully, that the woman before him had quietly transformed the environment, asserting a level of respect and influence through her composed presence that left a lasting impression on everyone present, including himself. The last patrons had risen, their conversations dwindling to murmurs, and the restaurant had taken on a gentle quiet, illuminated by the warm glow of overhead lights reflecting softly on the polished tables. Emily moved with the same deliberate, fluid grace, checking the alignment of chairs and the placement of utensils one final time, her eyes scanning the room to ensure nothing had been overlooked. Nathan Wallace remained seated, his hands resting lightly on the table. His posture relaxed yet attentive as he absorbed the scene before him. He observed the subtle confidence in her gestures, the way she anticipated the needs of staff and patrons alike, orchestrating the evening with a precision that went unnoticed by everyone but him. Emily paused briefly at a side station, arranging remaining plates and confirming the final orders with the kitchen, her movements measured, controlled, and effortlessly efficient. Nathan noted the careful timing of each action, the micro-adjustments in her posture, and the quiet authority that seemed to radiate from her, commanding attention without demanding it. Patrons who lingered at the bar glanced up occasionally, their eyes catching her focused presence, sensing a calm competence that made the room feel ordered and harmonious. Emily returned to the central area, straightening a small decorative vase on a corner table, the motion subtle yet precise, a reflection of the meticulous care she applied to every aspect of her work. Nathan exhaled slowly, recognizing the accumulation of small, deliberate actions that together created a sense of mastery, influence, and respect. He saw how she guided the staff through unspoken cues, managed the flow of service with foresight, and handled unforeseen requests with calm intelligence, all without overt assertion. The atmosphere in the dining room had shifted subtly, a quiet energy emanating from her presence, shaping the experience for staff, patrons, and even Nathan himself. As Emily completed her final rounds, returning to the station to collect her apron and smooth her uniform, Nathan felt the full weight of understanding settle over him. Her skill, patience, and poise had left a lasting impression, demonstrating that true authority and respect could be earned quietly, through action, observation, and thoughtful precision. He watched as she straightened her posture, lifted her chin slightly, and glanced once around the room, acknowledging the work completed with a silent pride that needed no applause. Nathan's eyes lingered on her, the lessons of the evening clear and undeniable. Influence did not require volume, control did not demand intimidation, and true competence was often revealed in subtle, consistent, and composed mastery. In that soft, glowing light, with the dining room calm and orderly, Nathan understood completely and silently that the quiet ones were never truly ordinary.